So a couple of quick questions on rape culture for a guy called Garrett. And this gets a bit complicated here because that makes this is a video response to this guy called Garrett, who's making a video response to Armoured Skeptic, who was making a video response to Steve Shives. If you remember, a couple of months ago, Steve Shives made a video to do with feminism, or rather a lack of feminism, in the online atheist community on YouTube, which is something that I've kept meaning to chime in on and haven't done, and perhaps will do. Rape culture is something else I keep thinking I'm going to make a video on that. I've blogged about it a couple of times. I'll give the links, as I always do whenever I mention it, in the footnotes. But this guy Garrett has responded to Armoured Skeptic, and he brought up the subject of rape culture, and he has given a definition of rape culture unlike any that I've ever heard before. So I have a couple of questions on that. I must admit, the definitions that I've heard before always have something to do with the idea of rape being normalised, or either in terms of its actuality or in terms of the way that it is perceived. There's some kind of normalisation process going on. That's what it says on Wikipedia. The links, crucially, the links that I have been given, Garrett, from feminists towards definitions that they use and their friends use of what rape culture is, all point to the same kinds of definitions, all involve this idea of normalisation, and yours doesn't. So I don't know where you got your definition from. Look, I'll tell you what I'll do. This is Garrett in his own words giving his definition.
In short, the meaning and study of the term rape culture is much less broad than many people infer from the title. Anti-feminists often say, everyone knows rape is bad, or nobody is celebrating rape, and similar statements. But this is a misunderstanding of what rape culture is. For the term rape culture to be valid, two things have to be true. Rape must be happening, which most people understand to be the case, and rape must be having some measurable effect on our culture. There are many, many things that have a measurable effect on our culture, from sugary snacks to Star Wars, and the term rape culture is not making any kind of inherent statement about exactly how much of an effect it has. It is just stating it has some effect.
So that is Garrett's definition, and he says this is very different to the definition that people who are arguing against rape culture use. I've got to say, Garrett, this is just between you and I now. It's also very, very different to the definition that the people who are arguing for rape culture use. So perhaps you ought to be having a word with them, given that they're the ones proposing it in the fucking first place, because it seems as if they are labouring under a false assumption there, and they are therefore misselling rape culture. If we're opposing something, we're opposing something very different. In terms of the definition that Garrett gives, I do not dispute it at all. Of course it's a rape culture, but that brings us on to the first question. Garrett, given your definition that the crime must be happening and that it must be having some measurable effect on our culture, can you name me a single crime that is not true for? It's obviously true for murder, it's true for theft, mugging, robbery, tax evasion, online theft, identity theft. I don't know, I'm missing hundreds and hundreds of crimes out, of course. Illegal drug taking, illegal drug dealing. Can you name me a single crime? The only one that I could come up with was high treason. And that only failed on one of the points because high treason never happens. Still has a measurable effect on our society, doesn't it? I'm going to be doing a video very soon on the British monarchy. If you take something like the state opening of Parliament, the Queen is surrounded by lifeguards. Why? To protect the personhood of the Queen, to stop somebody trying to kill the Queen. So it still has a measurable effect on our culture, doesn't it? So even something like high treason hits one of the marks. Fucking hell. And that hasn't happened for centuries. So tell me a crime that it doesn't apply for. That's the first question. The second one, given that this idea of what you've said about rape culture makes rape culture true, but it also makes it true for all these other crimes, and given that it means that every society that exists in the world is a rape culture, and every society that has ever existed, Garrett, throughout history is a fucking rape culture, haven't you just trivialised the whole thing? What fucking use is it anymore to say that we live in a rape culture? You told us something, you've said, here is a definition that makes this true, but it makes it trivially so. Right, so this is what I don't understand about what you were saying there. And I'll tell you one last thing, one last parting shot, right? If rape didn't have any effect on society, if rape happened and we all just went meh, and paid no attention to it whatsoever, isn't that what would be getting you motivated? Isn't that what would be make you wave your fucking fists above your head, the fact that rape happens and it was having no effect on us, no effect on our culture, we were just turning a fucking blind eye to it? So it seems we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. If we live in a rape culture, apparently that's a bad thing. right? But if we don't, then that's going to be an even fucking worse thing. We're out of the frying pan and into the fire. 2 questions for you, Garrett. Be interested to see what your responses are to that. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.